Hey, everybody. Welcome to the What the Wealthy Do podcast, where in 15 minutes or less, we break down the tips, tricks, and hacks that the wealthy use to build their wealth and show you how you can apply those same strategies to your daily lives while you're on your own wealth building journey. I am your host, Stephanie Dorsey. I am also the CEO and co-founder of Margins Capital. Margins Capital is an investment firm that provides access to women and people of color to an institutional quality portfolio of alternative investments, namely commercial real estate, late stage venture capital, private equity, and private credit. We are going to continue our part 2 of our discussion about cryptocurrency. Last week we talked about what it is, the origins of crypto, and how does it work. This week we're going to be talking about how the wealthy think about cryptocurrency and how they incorporate it into their portfolio, and how you can start to look at it and think about whether or not it makes sense to be incorporating your portfolio. Before we get started, just a reminder, this podcast is not intended to be financial advice. It is simply financial education. So let's get started. All right, so now that we know what crypto is, let's talk about how the wealthy think about crypto and why some of them, not everyone, decide to invest in crypto. And so there are 3 main reasons. 1, diversification. And just a reminder, diversification is literally the adage, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So instead of putting all your eggs in the stock market or real estate or all your eggs in venture capital, diversification means you put an egg over here, an egg over here, an egg over here. So that's what diversification means. Asymmetric upside. So that means that you can really make big returns with small amounts of money. You do not have to put in millions of dollars to make millions of dollars. And so they like that. And then the last thing is just access to innovation. They know that crypto is really about more than the coin. It's about investing in what is being built on, which is the blockchain. And so the blockchain is a network of digital ledgers or infrastructure, new financial systems that support all the different cryptocurrency that exists. So they're investing in the new financial systems, they're investing in digital ownership, and they're investing in tokenized assets. In other words, they see crypto as the future economy and they want to own a piece of it. And here's the key difference. The wealthy don't invest in crypto like Vegas. They invest in it like they invest in venture capital. And as you remember, venture capital is literally investing in new startups before they become Apple or Nvidia. And so that's how a lot of the wealthy, when they invest in crypto, they're looking at investing in these coins that represent the underlying technology that they're sitting on as a potential new startup. So that's why the wealthy are investing. But let's talk about how the wealthy are using crypto. And so thing 1, we said diversification, making sure you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Thing 2, they're also investing in the actual organizations that the coins represent. So they're investing in these blockchain startups and funds, and not necessarily just the coins. So there's 2 things here. So we can easily go on Coinbase or Robinhood or whatever and buy the coins, or you can invest through a fund, or we talked about different ways to get access to venture capital, SPV, or what have you, to invest in new blockchain companies that are vying to be the new face of these new evolved and innovative financial systems. Another way is tax strategy. It is a beautiful way to leverage crypto from a tax perspective. And it's something I didn't do and I learned after the fact. So when I first invested in crypto back in 21, I lost 70%. I didn't lose it, but I went through a crypto winter and 70% of the value of my initial investment. So I invested 10,000. My investment went down to about 3,000. What I could have done was sold all of my crypto day 1, rebought it the same day or maybe the next day, because it wouldn't have been a material change in price, repurchased it, and I would have gotten that $7,000 loss to write off on my taxes. Isn't that beautiful? I did not do that. But it would have been an amazing opportunity, amazing thing that I could have done. And a lot of wealthy are using it as a hedge to reduce their taxable income. And that's something you can literally start doing that now. And then some folks are using cryptocurrency as currency. They're using it as a way to buy things or make additional investments in things like real estate or art or whatever it is that they want. But let's be real, some of them are just holding them. I'm that some of them, right? I am literally just holding on to my Bitcoin and Ethereum and watching it grow and to see what happens with it. And so how does crypto fit into the wealthy portfolio? As we mentioned, diversification is huge. And so they're only investing a small percentage of their portfolio, 1 to 5% in cryptocurrency. And because again, the idea is to have a well allocated and diversified portfolio, not to bet the farm on any particular asset, even if you're in love with it. We're not doing that. And so here's what it could look like. A core position could be Bitcoin and Ethereum because those coins are no longer speculative. They are trusted and the value has been realized, and it is widely accepted by the crypto community that these particular coins are valuable investments. But they also could invest in newer projects. As I mentioned, perhaps they're investing in a fund that if they care, if this is aligned with who they are, they could be investing in new blockchain companies. And then some of them could be investing through ETFs. I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of your bigger institutions are now offering ETFs that are based on Bitcoin and Ethereum. They could be investing in blockchain venture funds as well as other crypto funds. Here's something that's particularly interesting though. There are a lot of exchanges out there and you need to be really careful about where you decide to keep your cryptocurrency. So you can keep it on Coinbase, or you can use an exchange like Coinbase or Robinhood or something like that. But ultimately, depending on how much money you have, at some point you might want to move your tokens to a ledger or a cold wallet or a custodian. Especially once you get into the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, you don't want to just keep that sitting on just any type of exchange. So that's just something to be thoughtful about. All right, but here are some of the risks. Let's talk about it. First, volatility. We know that. Listen, I tell everyone this story. I bought in 2021. The prices were going up. Everything was great. Then crypto winter came in 2022 and 2023, and 70% of the value just dropped out of what I originally invested. And because I believed in Bitcoin and Ethereum, which was two of the ones that I invested in, I didn't sell because I believed that they had staying power and it was going to rebound. However, if you invest in my very first investment, I will keep it a buck, was in Dogecoin because I was just like FOMO. I needed to get in the game and I had no idea what the freak I was doing. And Dogecoin was a hot mess. And so I ended up losing $400, but luckily it was $400 and it was fine. But again, you want to be thoughtful about which coins you decide to invest in. And I did not have the same belief in Dogecoin that I had in Bitcoin. So just be thoughtful about that when you're looking at volatility because it's a real risk. The second potential risk is regulatory risk. The rules are still being written and governments are still trying to figure out like how to tax it, how to track it, how to regulate it. And so as new regulations come online, they may or may not be beneficial to you as an investor. So that is a risk to consider. Scams and hype. Dogecoin, again, you've been on social media and you've seen it and you see all of these new people that are saying it with their whole chest about you need to invest in this thing. This is how I made X amount of money. There are these new coins that are less evaluated. People don't know about them. They're new to the street and they're investing in these influencers that are saying things, and people literally can get on Instagram or TikTok and say any old thing they want to say, and it could be hogwash. It could be bollocks. Like it could be And so everyone's a crypto expert, but you really need to do your own research and make sure that you're investing in something that is real and that is verified and that aligns with your own investment strategy. And then lastly, security. If you lose your private keys, your crypto password, that money is gone. Like, it is gone, especially if it's on, like, think about it, if it's in a cold wallet, it is gone. So you really need to figure out how to keep your money safe. It's scary, but that is a risk with digital currency. So I do want to just double click on this. Think about crypto as another class of alternative assets. So crypto, think about it like you think about venture capital, how you think about real estate, how you think about private equity, how you think about fine art. Cryptocurrency is its own asset class of alternatives. So just like you're not going to put all of your money in venture capital, just like you're not going to put all of your money in your 401k even, you're going to diversify. You should be looking at cryptocurrency very similarly. You do not want to put all of your eggs in the cryptocurrency basket, period, point blank. That's the end. That's the tweet. And just like all investing in those different alternative assets, you need to understand that the importance of the time horizon. You know, wealthy do not believe that they're going to double their money overnight in crypto, and you're not. Like, you're not. And so they're thinking about 5 and 10 years out. And so whatever you invest in, you need to think about, does this thing have staying power? Do I have the conviction that this thing will last? And why am I investing in it? Do I believe in the underlying technology? Do I believe that this thing will be amazing? Those are part of the reasons why I invested in Ethereum. I knew it's about the underlying technology and what they are building versus Dogecoin or the Trump coin or the Melania coin. Like, girl, no. So here's a good question. Should I invest in crypto? So here's my honest take. If you understand what you're investing in and you understand your risk profile and you have a clear investment strategy and crypto aligns with that investment strategy and you can answer affirmative to those 3, then it is something worth considering. Because, girl, I ain't gonna give you financial advice here. But I do want to be clear. You don't want to invest in something just because it's trending. You don't want to invest in something just because others are doing it. I'm always say, to thine own self be true. You want to learn the basics. You want to start small. You want to remember and be thoughtful about who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Like, my first foray into crypto was Dogecoin. Good God. And I know it's not my finest moment, but I was led by FOMO. I was looking around on social media and I was like, oh my God, I need to be in crypto. I just woke up one morning in 2021 like, I need to be in crypto. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to do it. And first thing I did, I talked to some friends, I don't know, and I spent $1,000 on Dogecoin. And then I did that first. Then I started to do research. And then I realized, girl. And then Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live and said something. And then the bottom dropped out of Dogecoin and I sold. Luckily, I only lost $400, but it was like, okay, girl, no. And then I realized who I am. I am a long-term investor. I'm a value investor. I am comfortable with risk, but I was like, let me invest in the thing that I think is going to be here for a while. So I invested in Bitcoin and I invested in Ethereum. And at first, my portfolio was about 60% in Ethereum and 40% in Bitcoin. And then crypto winter happened. I lost 70% of my investment. 10,000 went down to about 3,000. And when it rebounded in 2024, I took my original 10,000 out and I left about $8,000 in. And I also at the time rebalanced my portfolio so that it was more 92% Bitcoin, 8% Ethereum. And I say all that to tell you is that you need to figure out what makes sense for you. And if you are risk averse, like, you probably don't want to do what I did, right? And so you need to feel your way around it. And like I said, continue to do some research and understand your why, your risk tolerance. Start small. I would even consider starting with the majors to start, the Bitcoin and Ethereums. Use trusted platforms, understand where you're going to keep your money, and stay educated. And that's one thing that I can say I did do. I continue to educate myself to find a level of comfort. And when I couldn't, when I realized, like, because I left, I stopped, I slowed down my education, started focusing on other things. I got to a point of where I was invested and I felt comfortable with it. I didn't put any more money into it until very very recently until I'm doing more and more education on it. And even still, I am not investing in additional coins. I have not done that. I have a friend that I'm going to talk to that I will learn more about these additional coins from. But in the meantime, I am still invested in Ethereum and Bitcoin. But that is me. That is not financial advice. So all that to say, why you should care. Crypto represents a shift in power. There's a power shift, which is, it's really kind of beautiful. Because think about it, even though it's treated like all the other alternative assets, it is the only one of the few alternative assets that you can invest directly today on all of these different applications. Robinhood, I think even Cash App, you can do it. PayPal, you can do it. Like all of these platforms that everyone has access to. And so crypto levels the playing field, which is kind of awesome. But here's the catch. It really only works for people who understand it. It does not work for the people who like, ooh, crypto, ooh, Trump, I'm going to buy a Melania coin, where Trump and all of the people close to him made a lot of money, but people, the everyday American, did not make any money on that coin. So you just definitely need to be thoughtful and understand what it is you're investing in. It may or may not make you a crypto millionaire, but I tell you this, it will only make you a crypto millionaire if you understand it and educate yourself about it. So in closing, crypto isn't magic. It's a tool. It's an investment. It's an asset class. And the wealthy are using it strategically and not emotionally. And you can do that too. That's the beauty about crypto. Like private equity, venture capital, you got to know somebody that knows something about it to invite you to the game. Crypto, you don't. You can absolutely educate yourself and get access to it right away without being invited to the party. So don't be afraid of crypto. Be curious about it. Be cautious about it. Be strategic about it. You do not have to become an expert overnight, but you do need to understand where the world is going so that you won't get left behind. Because like I said, money and finance and investments and stuff, it continues to innovate and change and evolve over time. And it's really important that Black women in particular, but people of color, they understand this evolution and they are part of this evolution. So if you found today's episode to be helpful, feel free to share it with a friend, comment, let me know what you think, give me some pointers and some feedback, and let me know if I missed something. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And I'll see y'all next week, where we are talking our last podcast of the year, and we will be talking about how I like and how the wealthy like to end their year. Bye.